How you guys doing? This is your girl, Lady J. Today is March 5th, 2020, and I am on the Focus on Liberia platform. We are still going to be discussing the four pillars of intimacy, as you rightly know. And today we're going to be discussing the third pillar, which is affection and likability. So this is the third pillar, which is affection and likability. So, based on that, I will be speaking for about 30 minutes in regards to discussing what this is all about, 30 minutes or less. And then, if you have any questions, I have this open to ask questions here. I'll be able to answer your questions for you if I don't see it. One of the moderators will definitely give me a heads up to be able to answer your questions for you, and we will go from there. So kindly type in and tell me where you're watching from. And as we go on, if I see a question, I could stop and answer it. If you have a contribution to make, I will be able to read that contribution as well. And then the lines will be open within 30 minutes time where you could call in and give your contribution of what you think. So again, you're welcome to the show. Please, again, type in where you are watching from, and we'll be able to start. Please share the video in your inboxes or in different groups that you are associated with so that we can have a full house in regards to people coming and listening to this. Please also tag your friends. Again, you are welcome to the show. This is a Focus on Liberia platform. This is your girl, Lady J. And today we're discussing the third pillar of intimacy, which is affection and likability. So we're going to go right into this. And the first thing I would like for us to look into is the word affection. I want us to look into affection because it's important to understand what, the definition stating about what affection is. So from what the definition states here, affection is a gentle feeling of fondness or liking. So it's a gentle feeling of fondness or liking. And if you went into other words that sounded like this, we see fondness, we see love, we see liking, we see feelings, sentiments, tenderness, warmth, devotion, care, caring, attentiveness, closeness, attachment, affinity, friendliness, friendship, intimacy, familiarity, favor, regard, and respect. Familiarity. Okay. Sorry, I got caught up right there. All right. So these are some of the words that you can associate with affection. And then we have the next word, which is likability. Likability. And when we look at the word likability, we're looking at easy to like, agreeable, attractive, likable. These are some of the words. Fond, pleasant, something that you find pleasant or well like. That's what likability comes to when we look into words like that. So I'm going to go right into the article. And it says the qualities contributing to intimacy shows up in multiple venues. So there are qualities that, contribute to intimacy, and it shows up in different, sections. And one of the first thing is physical touch. And when I say physical touch, I mean something that is non-sexual. And you say, what are you talking about? So physical touch as like non-sexual. And it's just so funny. I'm going to be, breaking it down. I'm going to read it and then I'll break it down, okay? So that we can have some more information into what the whole thing is trying to say. So these qualities contributing to intimacy show up in multiple venues. Physical touch, non-sexual, non-verbal cues like smiling, Verbal statements like I love you or I'm so proud of you. The generous behavior or gestures like bringing someone a cup of coffee or laughing at their jokes. So, um, let's go into the first one, which is physical touch, non-sexual. I was talking to a friend this week before the show, and she said to me, Jessica, I sometimes I spend time with my man, and we just kind of like lie there. And she described this position that they lie in, where he's there, and she kind of like lies on him, and he's in that place where he can kind of like rub her back, and they can be in that position for about hours, like just being there, and it's not sexual. And I was like, that's pretty cool. And I know of these things because I have, some non-sexual techniques that I use as well in my relationship. So when she said that, I was cool. So physical touch that's non-sexual, we have to try to kind of learn those things. It's not every time that you meet with the person that you're, in love with, or you're loving to, or you guys are starting to date or whatever. It has to be sexual. You have to find these physical touch that are non-sexual, and they are very, very, very rewarding at the end of the day, because there's no penetration going on here. It's just two people being in one space, touching each other without like having sex. That is great. Then we have the nonverbal cues like smiling. A lot of times, when you're talking about yourself or you're talking about something that you're excited about, you can smile. You want to like see these things from your partner as well, to make you feel like, yes, he or she's listening, and she appreciates what I'm saying, or he appreciates what I'm saying. So cues like smiling. Then we got stuff like verbal statements, like I love you. Those are verbal statements. I know the word love is great to use, but please don't use it if you are not there. And there's a way you can tell that if you are there or not. I think a lot of times people use the word love disparagingly, where they just, take it out of the mouth and just use it without really having it or connecting it to a feeling. When you tell someone you love them, it has to be for real, for real. And I'm saying for real, because a lot of times we are under affection and we say, I love you. And love is much deeper than affection. Love is much deeper than a sexual, physical act. So when you're like trying to tell somebody about how you feel, you must really understand what that feeling is as you are stating it. Because if you don't understand what that feeling is, you're going to be wrong in how you express yourself. And that can get us in trouble sometimes when we do that. Because a lot of times, if you are not there yet and you tell someone you love them and they love you, they're like getting hooked to you. Love can kind of sometimes be addictive. So when they're getting hooked to you and you are not there yet, but you're saying that you're there, something can happen and your feelings can evaporate. And then you're left with this situation of, um, you know, not living up to the expectation of that person based on the fact that you've told them that you love them. So let's be cognizant of the words that we're saying, like I love you. I'm so proud of you. It's another good verbal word to use when when you're with your partner and they tell you, they've reached certain goals, they've achieved certain things. Be able to give them that pep talk and say, hey, I'm proud of you. I'm happy that you've done this. with, and then moves on to the generous behaviors and gestures like bringing someone a cup of coffee or laughing at their jokes. Sometimes you're in a relationship and you just want to sometimes put your feet up. And if your partner is there to do certain things for you, or maybe you guys go to the club and they're like, oh, honey, sit here. I'm going to get you a drink and things like that. Or let me get you a coat. Or let me get something for you. These things are good intimacy things that people need to be able to build up their relationship. So that's the first part. The second part here is when this area of relationship is thriving, what I just explained to you, all of these things, both parties feels the consistency and they feel genuine by each other. So once everything that I just went over is going well, there are physical touches that are non-sexual. There are verbal cues like smiling. There are, statements like, I love you, I like you, I'm proud of you. Generous behaviors like bringing someone a cup of coffee, laughing at the jokes. When all these things are part of your relationship, know that your relationship is thriving. And then this in return will bring that genuine feeling that a person should feel when they are with another person. Another thing is the joy and rewards of feeling genuinely liked. Help people withstand inevitable assaults and dissatisfaction in the course of any normal relationship. So the joys and rewards of feeling genuinely liked. When I say this, to relate to this is sometimes you see a man coming for you and he says things like, hey, sexy. And a woman thinks that that is a good thing. That is not a good thing for a man to call you sexy. Because when he calls you sexy, he's not actually appreciating you or respecting you. He's actually demeaning you. When he says sexy, the only thing he's thinking about in his mind when it comes to you is sex. So those are not words that we should be proud of or be feeling good about. So the joys and rewards of feeling genuinely liked is when somebody just likes you for you without wanting to have sex with you, without wanting money from you, without not, looking into deeper things, just you as a person. And this goes both ways because we always have situations where you see people will join into a relationship not based on the main reason why relationships should happen, but because of so many different reasons. And if you don't see these things that I mentioned there to you, if those things that I just mentioned to you are missing, or I said in a way that you feel is not genuine, then you are not in a good relationship. You should look into it really closely. Intimacy is not about penetration, and this is all about sex. So intimacy is not about penetration. A lot of people in times get into these relationships and all they want to do is to go ahead and sleep with this person. This man want to penetrate this lady wants to be penetrated. No, that is not intimacy. That is sex. Plain old sex. Raw sex. It's not about love. It's just that hunger of wanting to have sex with somebody. That's not intimacy. So intimacy has more to do with a feeling that does not have to do with sex. When sex comes into the place, a whole different ball game, and we will be talking about it in weeks to come. So just continue to come on here. We'll be discussing sex in its entirety. So intimacy is not about penetration. When you think about intimacy, it should be about some of those things that I mentioned to you and remove the penetration part from there, because when you put it there, it's now up to sex, not intimacy. A lot of times, when we're in a relationship, you find people trying to pre-qualify people. to either become a hobby or like a lot of times when maybe just dating, you see people trying to pre-qualify people in regards to, oh, is this person worth material? Is this person husband material or has that potential to be a wife or a husband? Shouldn't be that way. You should rather get to know the person first and foremost. And getting to know people is not asking them what your name, where you live, do you got quick temper, and how many times have you had sex, and how many men have you had sex with, how many women? No, that's not getting to know someone. Getting to know someone is becoming their friend. Getting to know their in and out, when they sleep, when they get up in the morning, what do they like in regards to drinking in the morning? Do you like tea or coffee? And things like that. What are your hobbies? Can we hang out together? Do you like playing video games? All those things. These are things that you should be doing when you are in a dating state or stage, because dating is all about gathering information. It's not about jumping into that place. Another thing that I came across when I was gathering information was learning to love yourself is one of the greatest love of all. And you guys know that's a Whitney Houston line right there. But when you love yourself, you don't let other people take advantage of you, even when it comes to being in a relationship. I think a lot of times we have these emotions that don't give us the right information about what to do when we meet with another person, and then we kind of get confused. So my question is, do you have the ability to control your emotions? When you meet someone and you really, really like them, do you just start to blabber? Oh, I really like you. I can't wait to go to bed with you. And all those things. I mean, people are not meats, Your partner is not a meat. This person you're meeting is not a piece of meat. They are a human being. And with people being human beings, they have their different things that they have gone through in their lives. When they are coming to you, they already have the different experiences. So when they get to you, if you're not giving a clean slate, they're not giving a clean slate. They're coming with their own things and stuff like that. Sometimes that can be like a collision. So that's why it's important to always find a way to get to know the person that you are talking to. But before that, if you were in a relationship and that relationship didn't go well, where maybe there was separation of a boyfriend and girlfriend thing, or maybe there was like a divorce or whatever it is, or marriage through separation or divorce, you must be single for a certain time. And that time is what I call a healing period, where you just sit back and enjoy yourself. Don't get yourself involved with no relationship. Don't get yourself involved with having sex with anybody. Just enjoy the period of you not being with anybody. And sometimes when you are in that process, you can learn. You look back on your previous relationship and you say, what went wrong here? What did I do to contribute to the separation or to the divorce? What can I do? And you have to be really honest with yourself when you are asking these questions, because if you're not honest with yourself, you're going to go right back into the next relationship and do the exact same things that you did in that relationship. It's like, living in a state and you say, oh, I live in Minnesota, so I'm going to use Minnesota. Oh, the people in Minnesota, yes, they're not good people. They can't talk. They this, they that. I don't want to live here anymore. I want to go to another state. Okay. I pack my satoka. I go to the next state. If I have those same lenses that I was wearing in Minnesota, when I come to this next state, it's those same feelings that I had about the people there. are still going to be the same feelings I'm going to have for the people in Iowa or Fargo. It's not going to change. So sometimes it's not even about like who you are connecting with. It's not even about the situation. It's about how you are addressing the situation. And it falls back to how you control your emotions. Sometimes when people love people so much, they become so overprotective and jealous. And they got some men that don't like that. And they got some women that don't like that. I know I don't like it. But in my situation, do I do the same? When I say do I do the same, am I that person who's going to can the moderators please put the questions in the inbox for me so that I can answer them? Am I going to be able to, render that same approach of me not liking people that are overprotective of me or jealous of me? Am I going to be able to render that same thing, or is it just my rule and you can't do the same to me? Or I can do the same, I can do it to you, but you can't do it to me. And most of the time it's like that. Like, for example, I had a situation last week where someone on here, my audience asked about a phone situation. Is it okay for me to look in my, people's phone? And I was like, no, if you are not allowing her to look in your phone, then you can't do it to her. I then went over the comments afterwards, and I saw he had asked an adjoining question. I think his adjoining question was, if she's on the phone with somebody else, and then she says, oh, I'm on the phone with this, but you hear something else on there. Now, is it okay to, ask? Yeah, it's okay to ask. Sometimes two people gave us that go ahead to want to ask them questions about what's going on if we're not being honest with them. So in that unique situation, not taking her phone, but just asking her and saying, hey, what's going on? So let me see if I got some questions here. I think I do. Oh, moderators, what are the questions, people? I'm jumping in and out, so I don't have the questions here. I need to know what the question is.
All right, Lily J, I can read the questions for you.
Go ahead.
First question is from Mosul Stewart, and she's asking, question, what does the feel of the touch affect? Example, rough hand, soft hand, the degree of the touch.
So when it comes to that, you're talking about the physical touch here, and the physical touch doesn't necessarily even have to be like a hands on a person, but I'm sure a person that with strong hands or rough hands, it might not feel good on the skin. And if that's the case, you can talk to your man or your woman about it and say, let's do something about, in the palms of your hand to see how best we can soften it. But this touch that I'm talking about can just be, maybe you're just lying down together, facing each other like that, or you lying next to your husband on his chest, or he just lying in your arms or something like that. So it's just, it's just a whole lot of, it's a whole lot of different things when it comes to that physical contact that I'm talking about, that is not that does not have anything to do with penetration. So, the person can even sit in the sofa, and you sit in the sofa with a back towards the chair, and you sit just like straddling down, but not going into a penetration mode of having sex with the person. So it can be anything. It's just that at that time, that touch is not correlated or connected or leading to sex.
All right, second question, and is from Stephanie Setro. She's asking, what are examples of non-sexual touching? She wants to know some examples of non-sexual touching.
So a non-sexual touching can be a massage. That's non-sexual. Another non-sexual touching could be you rubbing the back of your husband or your partner or your wife. Another could be just rubbing the legs of the person that you're with, or maybe the person sitting in their chair and you lying down on their laps, and then maybe just rubbing your hair, and things like that. Or maybe you guys could have your hands together and you guys are just touching and whatever, and just feeling that energy and things like that coming without moving to that next level. It could even be, I mean, because kissing leads to kissing is like a foreplay. So I wouldn't say kissing, but just, those touches that are not arousing you. And even if they are arousing you, then those are not good, because then they're going to lead to penetration. But things that are just where it's like the souls are meeting and there is nothing more to that, where you feel comfortable with that touch. So it could be anything. It could be sitting position, lying down, leg on the person's, body, or you guys just sitting, lying in bed and just looking at each other and, like just adorning yourselves, things like that. So, yeah, I hope I was able to answer your question.
All right. So far, these are the questions that I have. If you want me to read some comments, I can do that.
No, it's okay. I think I see some of the comments. So, let's see. It's been 34 minutes now, and the phone lines are open. And so if you want to call, we're going to put the number down here. Please continue to share the video and invite your friends so that people know that you are on and you are learning, you are having, you're listening to a discussion about relationships. Again, if you're just joining, this is your girl, Lady J, and I'm on the Focus on Liberia platform. We're discussing the third pillar of intimacy, and this is affection and likability. And we've gone over, what it entails. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. This podcast will be put on YouTube as well, on the Focus on Liberia platform and the Everything Liberia platform. So if you have questions, please call a line and we'll be able to go into questions, or you could still type your questions in. Please let me know what you think about the discussion. If you have, your experiences too, you can also put things down, because at the end of the day, we all learn from each other. And once I'm done with the show, I usually go back and I listen, because I want to be able to pick up some things there that I have said that I can, take away. As I stated, this is something that was given to me and I researched on to be able to discuss. So it's not like, oh, I know these things by heart, or I'm living these situations and stuff like that. I'm learning just like you are learning as we're discussing.
Okay, I have a question.
Okay.
You talk about the no. Hold on.
Okay.
You talk about two touches.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. And there's the physical touch.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the other one.
Okay.
So the physical touches, can you say can lead to the other touch, the one some people like?
You mean sex?
That's your word.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, it can definitely lead to it. Yes, it can lead to it. I'm just saying, I'm not saying, that's not where it would lead to. Like my massage, for example, when I give my massage and stuff like that, sometimes, my man will feel tired a little bit, because, giving someone a massage means that you are actually, taking away their stress. So once that massage is over and everything, because I use oil and everything, and I play, the massage music that goes with it. So everything is kind of like going into a way where there is intensity there. And I try not to go into that act. And I can do it for about 30 minutes, just massaging and things like that. Sometimes, he would be like, oh, can you sometimes he would be like, oh, can you just sometimes I have to kind of get on top, because, I don't have a massage table, so I can get on top and, massage from me being on top of him with him laying on his stomach, and I can, massage more easier and stuff like that. So when I'm standing, it's much better. But when I am like on top of him like that, I'm usually naked as well. And then sometimes it can lead to sex. Yes.
Okay, next question. What are the kind of touches that most females appreciate?
Well, let me hold that thought for me. I beg you. Okay, one of my friends is just making some fun. What are some of the touches that females appreciate?
Yeah.
You mean that leads to sex?
Yep.
Okay. So there are some they have these different spots on a female's body that can lead to a person being aroused. And one of the biggest spots on a female body that can lead to a person being aroused is the breast. Not everybody can, be aroused by that. But the breast is one area that if a person touch in a certain kind of way, the person will become aroused. Another area is, and I'm going to go from up down so that, I'm not. So let's start with the face, the lips and the mouth. And that's why people kiss. So when you see people kissing and stuff like that, there's feelings and sensitive, like sensitive nerve endings in your lip area that will make you aroused. And that's why you see most of the time before people start to make love, they usually would kiss. And just, rubbing your lips against each other or using your tongue to caress a person's lip can turn them on. On the head area, we have the ear as well. The ear is another place that can be very, 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 in Liberia, we used to call it weak spots. What is your weak spot? The ear can be a person's weak spot as well. If you know how to arouse it, usually people just numble at the tip of the ear like that, put the lips on it and just, numble it, or kind of like just use the tongue to lick on it. Not inside the ear, because some people then, you can put it in there if that's what they like, but most people don't like it. I feel squeamish when somebody just juke their tongue in my ear and stuff like that. But if you number on the tips of it, nibble on it, I will be able to start feeling some kind of way. With the breasts and the nipples as well, it's another part that contributes to sexual arousal. The neck area, you see a lot of times, sometimes people give people hickey, because sometimes when you pull the neck area and you bite into it a little bit, you can kind of like feel aroused. And then we have the cervix area. The cervix area, if it's played around, you can definitely be aroused. And then we have the vagina. The vagina, if it's played with, those are all these things I have mentioned. They're all body parts that contributes to arousal because they are very, very sensitive. And then the clitoris. The clitoris is what most people call the rose. That is extremely sensitive. When it's touched or played with, when it's touched or played with, I can't with the comments today. When it's touched or played with, all these zones that I just mentioned on the female body, you are going to get aroused. You're going to get that lady aroused.
All right. And there are other touches that can be turning off.
As I said, some guys, they hear about the ear and they don't know that it's not the ear that we're talking about. They think it's the ear hole, but it's not the ear hole that we're talking about. So if they stick that tongue in a person's ear, maybe a person feel that, oh, I don't know if my ear is clean, or maybe it's making her actually laugh and something like that. That can also be a turn off. Sometimes people think that all girls do anal sex. So they try to juke their finger in a person's butthole area. And and sometimes that can be a turn off as well, because if that person is not used to you anything stimulating that anal part of them, it's not going to be good. So you got to know if this person is into anal sex to be able to put your finger in there for stimulation.
So let's look at rough touches and soft touches. So when is the best time? Each is preferable.
Rough touches has to do with if you guys are having really kinky sex. And rough touches can be, like I mentioned last week, a choke, where you could be just choked. And some people like that because it turns them on, where you're choked. Another rough touch could be binding your hands together, but doing it in a people sometimes use their necktie, and they'll just grab the female hand and then do it. Most of the time is in full play. And another rough situation could be being pushed from the back to be able to give her back area for sex and things like that. So. Mm-hmm. No, I mean, at the end of the day, all right. So I got a question here from a moderator, and he's asking if you guys are in a non-sexual, a physical position, physical touch that is non-sexual, and you decide, and you maybe cannot stand it any longer. So as a man, you become, hard. Is it like a betrayal to the situation? No, it's not. I mean, there is no time frame to say, oh, this. I'm just saying, if you guys want to be intimate, it just has to do with not penetrating. But if you guys lie there for about 50, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and you're doing your thing and stuff like that, and all of a sudden the mood changes and you want to go into the next foreplay, the next era of foreplay, definitely you can do it. It's not a betrayal. It's becoming, so yeah, it's not a betrayal.
All right. We have a comment here. The writer say, too small for this other topic here.
I saw that.
My Bible. Anyway, maybe I should leave that one. Okay, question.
I got a question here from someone.
Okay.
Okay, so they're asking about the physical esophagus, and if it can be a turn on. Is that what you're asking? Can be a turn on? I'm trying to find out if that's the case, because I don't know if that can be a turn on, like the esophagus being a turn on. I don't really, I mean, it's, again, it has to do with this area of your face. So I'm thinking when kinky sex is being had and the person is kind of like choking you, that also presses against your esophagus. So that could be the turn on in that area, because then all these places are being blocked, and with your esophagus being blocked, you're not going to be able to breathe. Again, that turns some people on. So the answer to your question, yes, it can turn some people on.
Let's look at responses during the deal. And I think you know what I mean by the deal. So during the deal, the partners respond to each other.
Okay.
How does that complement the entire deal?
It's really good. It's really good when you and somebody are in a place of love making that you let them know that they're doing good. A lot of times, sometimes some women just lie there like a log and they don't say anything. And then the man trying his best and in his heart he wondering is she enjoying it and stuff like that. So in order to make the sex more enjoyable, you can be like, I'm enjoying it and stuff like that. That is if you are. If you are not, please don't say it, because that it in itself can create falsehood between you guys, and that takes away the whole genuine communication. So but if you are enjoying it, don't just lie there and close your eyes tight and hold all your feelings in and stuff like that. Say like, yeah, I'm enjoying it and stuff like that. Like, talk to them. You can even ask the man question, are you enjoying me? And if he's shaking his head too and he don't want to say anything, you can ask him, say, tell me you're enjoying me. And so keep that communication going. You can also use that time to rub his back, play with his ear based on the position that you're in with him and things like that. Making love should always be like a bond between two people where they're enjoying. It should never be a situation where somebody first, except maybe you guys want to do a quickie where, usually there is not much in there, but even with a quickie and stuff like that, there is still something. You still have to say something. You can't just, or else maybe a different thing going on there. But if it's, that intimate moment, that moment that you are together and you're bond in sex, there should be communication and rubbings and stuff like that of letting that person know that you're enjoying it. But if you're not enjoying it, you should definitely move from there, because it's really not, it's not fun to be at somewhere and you're not enjoying the thing and then you just there. It's quite boring.
Can there be a time or moment that quickie can be good? And what is quickie?
Well, quickie will be described as like the quick kind of sex that don't really has to do with like foreplay. So you just kind of like get the person and you're kind of like, sometimes you don't even take your clothes off fully and you just kind of like do like a sex position. And there are about, 5 great positions that, people can use when they're having a quickie. And one of it is like the back door, where the lady can just be turned to the wall or whatever. That's a really good quickie position. And another good position is maybe the lady is on the table and the guy just brings his pants down. Usually this happens in the office where he just brings his pants down and then it's just like boom, 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 boom. A quickie too can happen in the shower whilst people are, bathing and stuff like that, and they just join together where the man is standing, the woman is standing, they're facing each other. And if they able to, if he able to insert her from that area, he can do that. Or a quickie could be in a chair where a guy sits and a woman sits on top of him with her leg around. When she sits on top of him, her leg is around his ear area when she bends it. And that's a quickie position as well. And another one could be on a counter in the kitchen. So those are kind of like some quickie positions that people usually have. Okay. One second. How long should a quickie last? It has to do with the man. Usually when a man comes and the quickie is over, or if the woman comes to and then the man comes, the quickie can be over. So it can be anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes to 10 minutes based on the stamina that a guy has. Okay, I'm ready for the caller. Hello, caller.
Yeah, hello?
Hello?
Yeah, sir, I want to forgive.
Darling, I don't have voice for anywhere.
Yeah, who named Darlington? Nana Darlington speaking.
All right, what your question, Darlington?
I don't got a question, and this is not Darlington, this is Deaconess.
Okay, oh, Deaconess. Anyway, sorry, Darlington, trying. Okay, yeah, Deaconess. I know it's you, but I thought you go by Darlington. All right, Deaconess, go ahead. What you say?
I don't know who named Darlington. Don't call me that name. I know that person can talk with. This is Deaconess. But I listen to you where y'all let them about BBT now where y'all can spoken to me and I'm for sure y'all just making man to talk about his back.
Oh man.
But the whole thing you're talking to when the people ready to kill a dog, the people supposed to be talking and talking and talking. Man, I ain't feel all that thing where you're talking because the play one living my neighbor, the man and his wife, the men are African American and the woman are African American. Going there, trying to see in the home, my way working over there. I'm trying to get my business. The woman can just be yelling, destroy me, baby, destroy me tonight. So when you can be talking to the people, might be talking, and it's not correct for the people. When they just do that thing, instead with no noise. How did that woman yelling, destroy? So I can be asking myself, a winner. That's why they know you're yelling at men and destroy. You're not feeling destroying it tonight, be yelling him and destroy. So one day I decided that I was going to ask him, man, what's going on? Why he not destroying anything? What the woman asking him to destroy? So I click to the other. Hello, you yelling with me?
I hear you, Darlington.
So I click also. The man look at me, I look at him in the morning, I say, good morning, my neighbor. He says, sup. I say, okay, how are you? He said, I'm hanging in there. I say, you see, the problem here, you're not supposed to be hanging in there. Every night your wife can be yelling, destroy. How are you hanging in there? You're supposed to push it for it to go. Where is that in there? And he said, what are you talking about? I said, the same thing where your wife can be yelling, destroy me, can't destroy. You say, you're hanging in there. You need to stop hanging in there and push it where is that there so she can swallow more. Because when you're really enjoying the thing, you don't need to do interview. That's you talking. Today you enjoying me, you're not enjoying me. When the woman enjoying you, no need for interview question.
I hear you.
You will start feeling fit. When she enjoying you, you will start feeling fit. When she start breathing on your neck, start scratching your back, and put your finger on your elbow, then you know she enjoying it. No need to ask security question.
That's true. You're right.
Yeah, because when you start asking questions, then that means you're not enjoying it.
You're
when
right.
you're enjoying, somebody gotta be in peace. Somebody gotta be yelling. Somebody's supposed to be crying.
You're right.
You know.
You're right.
So what you say about the cookie? I hear you are telling people now about cookie position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got some quickie position and you know that you can use for you to be able to do what you got to do.
And you say when you say cookie supposed to get over when the men finish.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes.
Shit. Cookie not supposed to over. Everybody's supposed to finish together.
But then I wanna consider quickie and Darlington.
But how the woman supposed to get her mind into the thinking faculty, and the man get his mind into the thinking faculty, and all of them come together. If they not come together, then not quickie. We're starting over.
But then you're starting when it becomes normal sex, not quickie anymore.
La tuki.
Yes, that one not tuki.
Yes. I supposed to call it. But focus on la do. I've been telling you, my new single coming. I need you to promotion nothing. You're not saying nothing. You
send it to us. We'll put it up for you.
I've been sending it to the people a long time. You know me, I can't joking.
All right.
But anyway, I'm on a 2 cent there.
All right. Thank you.
I'm not be talking. No, it's not interview time for you to be doing the thing. I'm not interview time.
I hear you. Thank you so much. So I do have some other quickie positions that I can talk about, and then I'm going to answer the question here from one of my, or let me answer the question first, and I'm going to, can you do quickie in a car? Of course, that's where quickie can be done, in a car. Quickie can be done right in the car, and you can either do it in the back seat or in the front seat, whichever way you can do it. And usually that can be really, really rewarding as well if you decide to do it in a car. Another quickie position could be the guy standing up, the lady, that one they call it quickie fix. And the guy stands up straight and the lady bends down in front of him. And there's a bang, bang, bang. Then we got a ballet dancer where the guy stands and put the lady one leg up on around his waist area. And then they're standing and doing it. That's the ballet dancer. Then they have the her to the tune. That one is quickie, but it's not a penetration kind of quickie. It's he's going to be doing he's going to be like caressing her intimate parts with that. She's sitting in a chair or a bench and he just goes between her legs. That's another quickie. The other one they call the elevator is the guy standing on the lady doing the same thing to him. So this time, instead of the guy being the person that's doing the foreplay or, sucking on the lady or licking her, it's the woman that will be doing it now, where she kneels directly in front of him. And he has her head completely towards his body like that. That's the elevator. Then we have the hard seats where the guy sit down and the lady sits on his laps. And then they continue. Usually he's caressing her thigh area or maybe her breast. Then we have the stairway to heaven. This is done on the stairs where, the guy sits down, the lady sits in his lap and she holds the stair and then he just do what he got to do from that anchor. And then, as I said, we have the sitting on the counter one. The lady is on the counter. The guy is standing right in front of her. They call it the iron shaft. Then we have the reverse cowgirl, where the guy lays directly on her back, and instead of her turning towards him to straddle him, she turns her back towards him with her butt and everything, her back towards him, and she's straddling him and stuff like that. She's not facing him, and she can do a 360 if she wants. Doing a 360 is a good thing. If you do it, that means you're really experienced. We have the twist and shout. This one, the lady is lying on the bed and the guy comes right, not on a bed, but maybe on a couch area. And then he comes right above her and where there is little or more seat on the back for him. And then he's just on top of her like that, the twist and shout. So these are different kinds of quickies and their names that people can do if they're doing quickies. So what else? Do we have other questions? And thank you, D. Curtis, for coming on. I really appreciate that. It was really great having you on here. Can a CNA do a quickie at work? Christopher, I don't know, yeah, my dear. That is a question that you will have to find out, okay? Because I've never been a CNA before. I'm not working that industry. So I wouldn't know if that's something that can be done at work. Can a DPS do? I don't know, because again, I'm not working that industry to have such an idea. I won't be able to give you an informed response if I don't have any idea of that setting, okay? It turns me off when I'm asked to, do you enjoy it? Diamond says it turns her off if she's asked if you enjoy it. Well, if you don't want to be asked, then you have to probably just give the person your response, because it's good to communicate in sex. Sex should not be a quiet situation where the only thing you hear is the pow, 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 pow. If it's going like that fast, or if it's, suck, 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 and stuff like that, it shouldn't be that way. There should be more to those sexual sounds than that. So you have to respond to the person. Pretty much that's it. Do we have another caller on the line? Okay.
No caller, but I have a question. Let's talk about speed.
Okay.
Is speed an important aspect of getting a deal?
So when it comes to speed in sex, it's kind of tricky.
Okay.
And I say it's tricky because a speed limit in sex has to do with like how, if the person is going to be able to touch the place that they're supposed to touch in that lady. So every lady has a G spot in her that if it's continuously knocked on in regards when there is sex going on, if it's continually hit during the period of sex, that can make her come. And there are two different kind of coming. They have the coming where she can just come through her vaginal, and then they have the spurt where she comes through her pee hole. So it has to do with speed. When I say speed can be just strokes very, very softly, speed the limits of what that speed is, or it can be really fast, boom, 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 boom. But when you are doing that, when you're at speed, you have to also understand if you are hitting the right spots for your partner, and if that speed is going to be able to take you to the place that you have to get to the end of your journey. And so if you're not hitting the right spot, and if it's not going to take you to the place, then you have to kind of slow down, because sometimes the speed can make you come quicker.
Let's talk about intimacy and sex. What's the difference, and can there be intimacy without sex?
Yeah, this is what we're learning. There can be definitely intimacy without sex. When it comes to sex is the act of penetrating, and there's a difference. These are different things. Can one come without the other? Yes. So intimacy can come without sex. Can one lead towards the other? And those are conflicting, because sometimes, again, intimacy can lead to sex. But there can also be sex without love. And from what I'm now discussing, intimacy is what gets partners to that loving relationship that they have to be in before they go into the sexual part of it. Does that make sense to you? Okay. And they have a difference between sex and making love. These are two separate things. And sex is that physical act, boom, 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 where, the physical act where, is done, like and then there is making love, which is more with intimacy, where it's not rushing. And when I think about love making, maybe I am in that position of being on top of my lover, and I am like controlling things. But instead of like doing it fast, I'm intentionally rolling my hips and doing it very, very slowly. That in itself is love making. And maybe he's touching my breast, or he's playing with my body when I'm doing it. It's not fast. It's kind of like really calm and deliberate. So that's kind of what that is, different from sex. Any questions? Somebody's asking me if I've experienced all of this before. I don't know if you were here last week, but I made my audience understand that I have read a lot about sex, love making, the art of making love, the art of having sex, Kama Sutra, and all those things. And these, based on that level of information that I have researched and studied, has given me the opportunity to be able to coach something like this, and to be able to, disseminate information. So I won't necessarily say, all the quickies that I mentioned to you, all the quickie styles that I mentioned, or positions that I mentioned to you, are things that I have done. But I have pretty much done most of these things that I'm speaking of when it comes to discussing relationships and sex. It's kind of really hard to not be involved. And when I say not be involved, I really can't come in here and say XYZ if I have not kind of like experienced it. I can, there are certain things that you can teach, but there are certain things that has to be spoken with experience. So yes. And, in our African settings, when I answer yes like this, the first thing that's going to run to some guys, oh, she's loose or she's like this. And that's not the case at all. No, a person doesn't have to be loose to be informed about how to have wonderful sex. Again, they can go ahead and study it, or they could have experienced it with someone who was very well experienced that taught them a lot of things that they know. And that's why they have these ideas on it. So I hope I was able to answer your question, Duke Charlie. Any other questions? Y'all type your questions down, man. We got almost 70 people on this live. You're listening. Y'all can't be telling me that y'all don't have questions and things like that. If you are not okay to put the questions here, you can send it in the Focus on Liberia inbox. We should be able to answer those things for you. Or, you can call in. You don't have to give your name. And I'll be able to answer the questions for you. But I'm sure you guys have questions because we have a lot to do when it comes to relationship in especially our community and some other, communities that are related to us. So I really would like you guys to open up and ask these questions. If I can come here and be vulnerable to answer the questions for you guys, then you should be able to do the same to me, or I can be able to come and talk about it. Okay. All right. What is the best move to get to the G spot? That's a great question, foreign boy. Best moves to get to the G spot. So the G spot, if I were to tell you as it is, so if a woman was to lie down in front of you and you were to put your finger into her from this ankle, I like to use my thumb because it's much more explainable. Let me take off this ring. And you put your finger in her from this ankle with her lying down on her back. If you go upwards into her vagina, you will be able to touch a spot there that is called the G spot. So the G spot is not below when she lies down, it's on top. And that is the spot that you should look for. I will actually advise that for you to find it, you have to actually do, cunnilingus. And what cunnilingus is like sucking her, licking her, and things like that. When you do that, you can insert your finger in there and try to find her G spot. If you find it, she doesn't have to tell you that you've touched it because she's going to react to it to make you know that is her G spot. So that's the best way you can find it. And once you find it, then when you go into penetration, you will know too. Sometimes it's about the position that the person is in that can actually help you touch the G spot. And you also have to learn. Sex with someone and finding these things out is not like a walk in the park. And that's where the intimacy come in, because you have to be feeling very free with this person to be able to get to that level with them. Hope I was able to answer your question, foreign boy. I have another question here from Sis Musu. She said, how does the duration impact the sex act? Duration is very important, and thanks for asking. A lot of women and their partners, some women and their partners have issues with duration, because if the guy cannot really go for more than 3 to 5 minutes, then that's bad, because around 3 to 5 minutes is when the person is just getting aroused, especially if the partner doesn't know where her G spot is to knock it, or have fun or position of where they can, they're supposed to be touching. So if they don't know that, and that lady is just getting aroused, and then The whole thing finished. It's very, very frustrating. So duration has a huge impact on sex, on the sex act. We don't want the men to be coming all the time. We want women to come too, because that is a release of energy that is very good for the body. Next question. Stephanie says, what are the woman erogenous zones? I just mentioned them though, Stephanie. I went over a lot of them: the ear, the lips, the breast area, cervix, the clitoris, the vagina. So I went over that before. Those are erroneous. Those are the we in Liberia, we call it weak points, so weak spots and stuff like that. Those are the erroneous zones of a person. I said it from the beginning of the live, so it's kind of there. So you want me to go through first, second, third? All right. Let me go back in my little notes because I know I didn't take them off. The first pillow, if you're just joining today, we've been talking about the 4 pillars of intimacy. We're on week 3. The first pillar had to do with safety and security. Here we talked about, where a relationship has to have, where a person has to feel some sort of safety when it comes to them not feeling threatened, security when it comes to them not having, having any physical thing happening to them, like a partner touching them in a rough way. And we went into like details of if a partner feels emotionally safe, that means the partner is not being unfaithful to them. They can trust them, and then they will refrain from like deeply hurting them, because in this first place here, it has to do with, letting yourself being open to this person who you are talking to when it comes to that intimacy. And it says intimacy requires vulnerability and it requires safety. So that was for week 1. Then we went to the week 2, which was the second pillar, knowing and being known. This was I can't say my best one because I have to do week 4. But with the 3, this was one of my best ones, knowing and being known. It's like knowing yourself, with your partner knowing you, and you knowing your partner. So, it's like there are rewards when you know each other, when you truly know each other, because you get beyond the details of just a person's life. You get to understand things like the inner world, the vulnerabilities, the fantasies, the dark places, wonderful places, and all those things. So when you know someone, then you get to feel some sort of empathy towards them. And with empathy comes genuine understanding. And that is all part of the intimacy process when it comes to knowing, being known, which is the second pillar of intimacy. And today we're doing the third pillar, which is affection and likability. And, as we stated, these qualities like the physical touch, nonverbal cues, verbal statements like I love you, I'm so proud of you, behaviors and gestures like bringing someone coffee, laughing at the jokes, just being there for that person helps a lot when it comes to the third pillar, which is affection and likability. So do we have any other questions? Oh yeah, Foreign Boy has a question. Oh, what about hygiene? Hygiene is very important. Christopher, that's a great question. Thanks for asking. Hygiene is very important. Everybody has, the nose area has very, very strong potential to be able to smell things that are unpleasant. And based on that, once that message has been sent to the brain that there is something unpleasant, it's really hard to want to continue. I would like to, use this time to talk about, like the cunnilingus or fellatio. Cunnilingus is when a man goes down on a woman, or when somebody goes down on a woman, and fellatio is when you go down on a man. These things are very important, because we can't want for someone to be having oral sex with us and we are not smelling the part. That is not good. That is, it takes away from you as a person. And it sometimes makes you feel a certain kind of way if especially if you are aware that you don't smell good down there. So whatever it is that you can do to make yourself smell good and stuff like that is good. I will be talking to my manager, Stephanie, and we will be putting together a talk on how to clean yourself as a woman and a man. And that's something we'll be talking about. So great question, Christopher Tabasi. Another question from Foreign Boy. Is it better to make her come with your finger or penis? Which one is better? If it was me, I would say it's better to make me come with your finger, but some women too prefer the penis. So you have to know your woman and know exactly, because with the finger, you have a better option of touching that G spot that I told you about. And if you keep, pressuring it and stuff like that, definitely she's going to come. So it's left with the person. You have to know who you're dealing with, and then you can try to make that happen. Another question, you guys, thanks for the question. I'm enjoying the questions now. Do size matter in sex? No, size does not matter in sex. Great question, Jerome Roberts. Sex does not matter. Size does not matter in sex. Does not. A lot of times people think, oh, if I get beat to do, then this. And if my to do someone, no. If you know how to float your boats, if you know how to turn yourself inside, if you can find out one G spot, you can be the tiniest dick or whatever, you will still be able to make her come. Now, it's not about the pounding that makes a person come. It's about touching her G spot. That spot has to be touched. It has to be, played with. It has to be rubbed against. Any way that that woman can feel that pressure or touch on that G spot, she will come. So size doesn't matter. Great question, Jerome Roberts. Thank you for your question. In African culture, I see men slap, then the woman feels real. Could that be an act of intimacy or foreplay? In African cultures, I see men slap. Sometimes, that will be kinky sex. I'll put that on a kinky sex, and where sometimes a woman is slapped against her butt area, and that can sometimes be considered kinky sex foreplay to get the person into the mood, because when that happens, it stimulates her. It touches the slap on her butt, kind of like touches her vagina area, and that could be an rouser for her, so she can be aroused by that slap. Oh yes, the word, right? Yes. So yes, that can be a form of. I think I understood what you were trying to say. So the size matter, or is it the skill? Bobby Thomas. Again, Bobby, it has to do with you knowing where that woman G spot is, and if you can touch it, size does not matter at all. Mm-hmm. Once you can find that G spot and you can touch it, size doesn't matter. And I'm sure not every woman comes with penetration. I'm very, very, very sure about that. Not every woman comes with penetration. Some women comes with, you doing cunnilingus on her, and then she will come. So most of the time, it's not only penetration that can make a woman come. So size definitely doesn't matter in this case. Liberia Morovia. What can I do to stop hitting it in the person's stomach? Because I am tired of people complaining that my ear is like you hitting them in the stomach. Well, moreover, Liberia, it seems like you are well in. It seems like you got something good going there, and in that situation, if you do have something good going there, then you have to be able to kind of like, know how to which position to go into. And there are some positions that a woman can go into, like a backdoor position that kind of makes it deeper for you to be able to go into, versus her sitting on top of you, versus you going on top of her like that, of how do I say it, the missionary style. So there are so many different positions, like on the side where she can lie on her side and you can come from the back there. Those are all positions that kind of like does not really give a full impact to the stomach. And when you're doing it too, if you know that you are that big or you are that long, you should also refrain from hitting so hard, because when you hit so high, it's going to be there. And once that happens, for me, it's usually not pleasant anymore, and I want you to stop. So just look into that as well, okay? Hope I was able to answer your question. Can I use Viagra as a young person to add to my natural strength? Because that girl is like a horse. You can use Viagra. I also have, I'm a businesswoman as well, and I sell, some things like ginseng and that you can use. So yes, Viagra is good. I know it has a side effect, so just be careful. You can also get things like ginseng and other, things that will help you to kind of like stay in tune with your young girl who is like a horse. So I hope I was able to answer your question, Bobby Thomas. That's a great question as well. So do we have anybody on the line, Mr. Moderator? All right, well, almost kind of like here. Let's see. We got about 8 more minutes. Any questions, a contribution that someone might like to give? Or if not, I could give some experience here. So as I was trying to tell you guys, a lot of times, sometimes sex can go wrong just because we don't plan for it. For me, I'm always like prepared just in case, I have all my little different things. Women, we should do a better job when it comes to this act of sex. If you want to enjoy it, sex should not be looked upon as something ugly or maybe something that is, that you can be ashamed of and things like that. And like cleaning yourself, being ready for it, like, making sure that you smell good down there and all those things are all things that you should look into. Guys, the same thing too. You can't tell somebody to come and do a blowjob on you and you're smelling with pee. And I wouldn't want to do that and stuff like that. And if I try doing a blowjob on you and you smell like with pee, I'm definitely not going to want to go down there. And it's the same that guys will feel about us. So once preparing for that, if you can take a shower, if you've been out there, you can take a shower and stuff like that. It's good. Hygiene is really good. It's really it's to be something that people should take into consideration, because nobody want to go there and be smelling any kind of funk that can take away someone's arousal. All right. Any other questions? Last questions before we move on or go? Oh, Bobby says, oh yeah, okay, that I read that question. Mr. Moderator. Hello.
Hello.
All right. Yes, Anthony, you have any questions?
No question.
That means I was able to answer all your questions tonight, huh?
Yes, you actually did. And you can conclude and then we will call it a day.
All right. So thank you for joining. If you're just joining, this is your girl, Lady J, and I am on the Focus on Liberia platform. We are discussing the third pillar of intimacy, which is affection and likability. Next week, we will be going into the fourth one. And once we're done with that, I will go and do an overall on week 5, and we'll be closing up intimacy, the 4 pillars of intimacy. We also have this show on Focus on Liberia YouTube channel and Everything Liberia YouTube channel. That is my platform. We are on here at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Thursday. So if you did enjoy the show, please tell your mom, your pa, your sister, your brother, your auntie, your uncle, all those people about it, so they can be able to come on here and watch the show, because we want to make sure that we are continuing to give the public good information about having a relationship, what it entails to keep a relationship, and what it is, what we need to know about sex that we don't know. Because with all this information, it kind of like helps us get into that place of feeling confident about who we are, what we do, and how to be able to keep good relationships. I want to say thanks to my moderators, Anthony and Dennis. I appreciate you guys doing the things in the back there. Thanks to my manager, Stephanie. I appreciate you finding these topics for me to be able to, come and discuss. I appreciate the Focus on Liberia team. Thank you so much for joining and coming on. This is your girl, Lady J, and I am signing off.